What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, Saints fans, Tigers fans, Louisiana sports fans, other sports fans, people, gaming, grunt fans, anybody who wants to just come through, enjoy some vibes, some beer, some conversation, all that in a bag of Zab chips, man. I'm happy to have you guys here. Look, LSU ranked at number, you can't hear me? It should be straight. Should be straight. LSU ranked at number 5, and I tell you what, I'm going to go straight into talking about Brian Kelly, a guy coming straight out of Notre Dame, and people said, look, even with the recruiting power, even with the recruiting power of the SEC and LSU, there is no way in hell that Brian Kelly will be able to not just formulate a competitive squad in just 1 year for the LSU Tigers. There is no way, but let alone bring them to a ranking of top 5 and a shot at potentially having an appearance in a national championship game. That is huge. We are secure. We've already secured a spot in the SEC championship game in Atlanta against Georgia, and here we are going in against Texas A&M. Jaden Daniels has been one for the books. He's been an incredible quarterback, not just by his stat line, but the fact that he has straight just grown every week, and the passion, and that's what I mean. If there's, and I know it's college and NFL, and I bring it up a lot, but if there is any team that the Saints could take notes from, that Dennis Allen could take notes from, it isn't even an NFL team. It would be the LSU Tigers. It would be Brian Kelly connecting with the local fan base, fighting for players. He could be up by multiple touchdowns, but if he doesn't agree with the call, he's going to argue with it. He's going to argue it to a T. It could be over 1 yard. He is passionate, yelling, spitting, red in the face, doing what it takes to show his guys that he's there to fight for them whenever it doesn't matter. He's there to fight for them when it does matter, because that type of passion is contagious, and players will follow your lead. There's a saying that goes back for generations, and it goes across every single sport. It goes across the normal civilian jobs. Look, your employees, your players, your kids are going to match the type of energy that you introduce and influence within their lives. And it cannot be said even stronger than college football. And look, Brian Kelly is doing everything right in that aspect. He's not just trying to conform a group of players to his game plan. He is taking a game plan and formulating it to his players. He said, look, it's a fresh start here in Baton Rouge. I'm not just going to be a part of it. I'm going to take part in it. I'm going to participate in it. And Brian Kelly has done everything that has been required of him to turn this team into a competitive powerhouse once again. And I love Coach O and what he's done. I don't know if you guys have seen the story about him showing up at Sean McVay's wedding a couple weeks ago. Shirtless by the pool, wasn't even invited. So you love Coach O because he crashes weddings, and he's just a great personality, especially if you're a Louisiana native and you know all about Coach O. But look, he wasn't bringing the Tigers to any more glory than it's been given. I mean, I'm not trying to say he had nothing to do with the national championship, but I'm pretty sure he just coasted. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Look, Stingley, they had plenty of talent as it was. You go back and look at that Alabama versus LSU team, that LSU game just a couple short years ago, one of the most star-studded college football games of all time. And that's not even a question. But for Brian Kelly to come in, rebuild this team with some freshman and sophomore offensive linemen, take Jaden Daniels, a transfer, and truly formulate an offense that can be competitive to beat Alabama in his first year. By the way, he could beat Alabama in his first year, lose every game. He could have lost to UAB. But nothing's going to take away the fact that he beat Alabama. I don't care if they're struggling. It doesn't matter. He beat Alabama in his first year running the LSU program, and it's something that is commendable. It's respectable, and I cannot wait to see what he does with his franchise for years to come. It's huge. Y'all should have lost on my Razorbacks. We had our third string. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, man. A win's a win, Cody. Here's the thing, and that's what the board takes into account when they make these college football rankings. It isn't just a blowout win. It's can they formulate a win? Michigan got a great ranking. They just won by 3, right? I'm just saying. The committee also takes into account how teams are able to formulate wins, not just the point differential. Look, the Arkansas Razorbacks, I understand they're not a strong team. They're the third string quarterback. I watched the game. I understand that. Excuse me. Whew. Need another sip here. Crack another beer. Greatest sound in sports. Look, but they got the W, and that's all that matters. We are ranked 5, Corey. LSU is ranked 5, and we are 2 wins away from, look, I'm not going to speak it. You already know what's happening. We are 2 wins away from being SEC champions and possibly beyond in the first year under Brian Kelly. And it goes back to not just Jaden Daniels, but it goes back to, first off, I want to put this out there. People who don't understand the capacity, the value that Jaden Daniels has brought to the team. Because not only has he thrown over 2,300 passing yards, he leads the team this season in rushing yards. I'm going to say that again. He has thrown over 2,300 passing yards. How many touchdowns has he thrown? He's thrown 15 touchdowns, only 2 picks. But he leads the team in rushing yards. The quarterback with 740 rushing yards. That's the type of dual threat talent that Jaden Daniels is showing that he can be. His ceiling is insane. And the way that he has matched the energy of Brian Kelly and the whole team has just rallied behind them is remarkable. The influence in year 1 is absolutely remarkable. And then you go look at Boutier. I understand he's trying to get prepped for the draft. He's kind of had a slide the last 2 seasons. I love Boutier. I do. I love Keyshawn Boutier. I really do. But you got to give it to Neighbors, who is going off with 657 receiving yards. This is a team whose whose team leader only has 1 interception. The team leader this season interceptions is just 1. So we got to create some more turnovers on the defensive side of the ball. But the offense is just so lethal. And it's the number 1 problem the Tigers have had the last 2 seasons. And they've just I just keep speaking on it. They went from struggling to bringing a new team, some new coaches, to being a top 5 team led by that offense. It's incredible. Exactly. People are arguing in the comments here. I love to see it. Arkansas did not beat us. It's important to find ways to win. Good teams win by a lot, but great teams win close games. Anybody can win by a lot for a few games, but when you start playing competition, you get down, you don't have that type of experience, those type of reps to win close games whenever the game was on the line, when it really matters. The committee takes that into account. It doesn't matter who you're playing. They were pushed up against the wall, and LSU plowed through Arkansas. I don't care if they're on the 3rd string, 4th string, 5th string, 6th string. I don't care who's playing quarterback for the Arkansas Razorbacks. LSU was backed up against the wall, and they decided to instead plow through the Razorbacks for a win and prove why they deserve to be a top 5 team in college football and why they deserve to be a contender all the way through the national championship. And what should be scary for not just SEC teams, but every single team, is that LSU is in year 1, and there's so much more to go. So I got so much respect for LSU, so much respect for Brian Kelly, and we're going in against Texas A&M. We all know about Johnson's transfer to Texas A&M, and I'm going to pull up their stats. Before I do that, I want people to come through, join the call. I want you to check the Discord right there. The Discord is in the pinned comment below. I want people to come in. I'm going to ask some questions about LSU's season, where they're at, and I want some people to come partake. We had a great night last night. We are night 2 of the Believe That Daily Podcast, where I am going to be going live every single night for about 30 to 45 minutes, covering New Orleans Saints football, LSU football, some Tulane football, some New Orleans Pelicans basketball, all things Louisiana sports. And also, if you're not a Louisiana sports fan, I got you covered, because also all things mainstream sports, such as Odell Beckham going to the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott doing everything he can to recruit Odell Beckham, and I would love to see Odell Beckham in Dallas. We'll speak on that here in a little bit. But first, we have Tyler in the chat. I'm going to bring him in right quick. So what are your thoughts? We got everybody coming through. We got Big Joe in here. Everybody coming through. I'm going to go one at a time. I'm going to mute you. I'm muting everybody in here, but I'm going to unmute you once I call on you. We don't have Zoom. We're not fancy like that. We're going to bring Tyler in. So look, Tyler, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me, brother?
I got you, man. So what are your thoughts on Brian Kelly in his first year in the LSU program making such a difference? What do you think it is that he's bringing to the table that Coach O couldn't?
I personally, I believe it's the energy, man. You talked about it already. I mean, you've touched on it. He came in and said, okay, these guys were kind of down in the dumps, man. I mean, after losing Joe Burrow and that star-studded offense that you talked about with Justin Jefferson and everybody else and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, coming out of that year, dude, there wasn't many hopes for him. You know what I'm saying? And then blasting into this year like the way they did. Listen, man, I've been in here for a minute waiting to talk. So my boss is a Georgia fan, and we talked about this today too. And he firmly believes that Georgia will win. I do not, and here's why.
Let's hear it, man. What you got? So I want to hear this edge because look, everybody thought Tennessee was going to get the huge upset over Georgia, me included. I thought Tennessee was not just going to beat Georgia in an upset, but I had Tennessee winning by at least 10 points, and I put money on it. I love Hendon Hooker. Is the reason I want him to be a New Orleans Saint here shortly. I wish him a speedy recovery, but I was wrong. And LSU's coming in as even more underdogs against Georgia. So what is it you think LSU is going to bring to the table to not just give us a chance to beat Georgia, but to actually execute and beat Georgia?
Here's the thing, man. Georgia going into that game, playing Tennessee, if you watch that game close enough, Tennessee had them shut down for majority of their drives, besides the few drives that they did score. I mean, how many points did they put up in that game? Correct me on that. How many points was that?
For Georgia versus Tennessee?
Yeah.
The final score. I could try and venture off, but I'm terrible at memory. But numbers, it was the final score. Georgia versus Tennessee was 27. The Bulldogs, and then the Volunteers were 13. So 27-13 Georgia.
Again, they didn't beat them by that much.
No,
they
looked pretty dominant on the defensive end. I mean, they held them, but I don't think they made it past midfield for the first quarter. I can't have to go back and watch.
That's the consistency with Georgia is their defense. But here is the thing. Daniels, that quarterback y'all got over there in LSU, dog, man, he's about to make some noise in this SEC championship. He's about to go out and prove a point. Georgia is going to be scrambled completely when it comes to playing LSU. They're going to play, first of all, a quarterback that is going to have the balls to run against them, and two, can also throw on the run. Georgia's going to sit back and play just like they did last week against Kentucky, man. Watch. They're sliding off. And LSU is going to come in, and they're going to take it. They're going to take it just like they deserve to, man. Why not? Why not?
The number one thing.
I really want everyone in the chat to realize what LSU has done.
They're doing, of course, and I don't think there's any questioning that, but it's just going into where I feel like the LSU Tigers truly struggle is in that secondary, creating turnovers. We are able to get pressure on the quarterback. We're able to play up against the run, but LSU against the pass, especially deep, has been kind of a struggle a little bit over the last few years, and this year is a little bit no different. I mean, like I said, I'm going to say it again. The team leader in interceptions this season is Jarek Bernard Converse. I looked this up because I had to make sure this is true, with 1 interception, which is pretty nuts considering the teams we played. And we're going up against Stetson Bennett. I love Stetson Bennett, not just because that he's an old school style pocket passer who can move a little bit, but his swag, his style, his trash talk, he's the whole package. I love Stetson Bennett. I think he's going to be a real sleeper whenever he eventually makes it to the league, because he will, and I think he might be a career backup type. He's going to make noise in a certain way in the NFL, and I got to give him that, because I feel like he really is the whole package. But then you look at their run game, you look at their tight end, in Brock Bowers, who's phenomenal, but you have to look at that defense that is just constantly stopping the run, constantly everything an explosive offense has to throw at Georgia. They stop it. Let's put it this way. They were comparing the Tennessee Volunteers to the 2019 Tigers, not based off just opinion, but based off hardcore stats. And I know the strength of schedule is much different with Tennessee compared to the 2019 LSU Tigers, but to even be in that conversation and then to be shut down in such a way that they were against Georgia, you have to take that into consideration, and it's my number one concern as a Tigers fan heading into Atlanta. But I do feel like it's the hearts, it's the passion, it's the work ethic of this team. I firmly believe, win or lose, LSU is going to walk into Atlanta as the most fired up, most prepared, most motivated team that we've seen since 2019, and we're going to outmatch the Georgia Bulldogs in all of those categories. But will we be able to outmatch them in points on the board? Because at the end of the day, it's all that matters. But what is the edge? It isn't the defense. It might not even be the offense. It's the heart, it's the passion, it's the fire that Brian Kelly has just inserted into this locker room that's been missing for far too long. I'm excited to see it. I cannot wait to see what LSU brings to the table against Atlanta. And it's only going to go up from here, man. It is only going to go up from here.
And I just have one more thing to add, man.
Go ahead,
just
man.
One
What you
more
got for me?
If LSU does beat Georgia, here's the thing that makes Georgia or LSU comfortable in this college football playoff. There is no chance to play Alabama. There's no target on your back.
Oh, we ain't worried about Alabama. We beat them already.
Exactly.
I told y'all, LSU wants Georgia, and we've fought our way to earn that game against
Y'all
Georgia.
coming, bro.
This SEC game might be the most well-earned SEC game in a long time. A team that came back from 2 losses where people counted out Baton Rouge, Death Valley entirely from the 2022 football season, and they've risen above from the ashes to prove they can still be taken seriously, competitively, and ranked at that 5 spot. So for them to go into Atlanta, I cannot wait to see what they do. Do I think we had a comment from Joshua Griffin? Do you think if LSU plays Florida State and Tennessee again, they win both those games? Absolutely, Josh, by multiple possessions, because it's trial and error. Brian Kelly, he's not coming in with this fixated mindset. This is how this offense can be ran. Like, whether you want to be here or not, this is how we're going to run this offense. He's feeding off the dual threat capabilities of Jaden Daniels. I think the most dual threat capable quarterback he's had before Jaden Daniels was Ian Book during his time in Notre Dame, and he made Ian Book look damn good. They had a great defense. Kyle Hamilton's a great safety. I think he'll be great for for Baltimore. But look, Brian Kelly is the type of college coach you want in the SEC, and he's going to prove to everybody why that's not a lie. Who else we have in here? I'm gonna get to some more questions here before we move on to Tulane, because I gotta give love to Tulane. I appreciate you, Tyler. Thank you for pitching him in as always. I love having you on the podcast. I can't wait to see what we got plenty more to come, and I hope you can be a part of most of those.
Oh, absolutely, man. I'm starting my own little thing up as well. I hope to maybe reach out with a personal message to you and try to get you on there as well, brother.
Always, man. Always trying to lift people up and see what we can do to change the community overall, bro. You have a great night.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right, brother. All right, Joe, where you at? Hey, Joe, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, got my man on the Discord, man. So what are your thoughts on, let me ask you this, because I know you're just going to get hyped up, energetic, and just try to feed off the energy, and I love it. But let me ask you a specific, let's go, baby. Love having Joel here. Let me ask you the specific question. I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked Tyler, because I want to hear your opinion on this. Heading into Atlanta, we are obviously the underdogs, bigger underdogs than Tennessee was, with arguably the most explosive offense in 2022, and they got shut down. So what is it that is going to give LSU that extra special edge that's not just going to give us an opportunity, a chance, a reaching for the stars opportunity to beat Georgia and become SEC champions, but what is going to give us that advantage?
We've been the underdog all year long.
Love to hear it. All right.
We've been the underdog all year long. You know what they said? LSU ain't going to be shit. Guess what?
Hey, say that one more time for me.
They said LSU ain't going to be shit.
And what happened?
I mean, look, I'm going to be first off to tell you. I watched the first LSU game. I watched the second LSU game. I said, man, this damn quarterback ain't going to be shit. I'm here to tell you, I lied to everybody. I lied to myself. I am so impressed with this kid. Listen, I done heard this on several games. Brian Kelly told that man, believe in yourself. Brian Kelly said, once Jaden Daniels believed in himself, this dude is throwing dimes down the field. Brian Kelly is going to be so aggressive against Georgia. It's going to be unreal. He believes in his team. He has made this team turn to such greatness. Like, we're underdogs.
And I love it too. What I find really magical about the Brian Kelly and Jaden Daniels relationship is early on it looked real rocky, right? Jaden Daniels making questionable throws. He's not throwing it away. He's escaping the pocket too early. Just mistakes that have come with him not being developed properly, right? And I think Brian Kelly brought Jaden in because, hey, look, Jaden, I understand you have all the tools to be special. Just let me develop you. Eat a slice of humble pie. Let's come together. Let's do something great in Baton Rouge. Doing something great in Death Valley. And I thought, I can't ever pronounce his name, Nussenmeyer was going to be the next quarterback. I thought we were going to see, I'm right there with you, Joe. I thought, I'm not sure about Jaden. I feel like Nussenmeyer might be a better go-to. Obviously, Brian Kelly saw something in Jaden Daniels to not just go out there and recruit him, but to make him the starter through a loss to Florida State.
I don't know if you know what he's seen in Jaden Daniels?
It's the dual threat. He saw him being able to be not just a guy who can escape the pocket, a legitimate dual threat quarterback who can move the chains and score in clutch situations.
That's what he saw in straight up. Brian Kelly said straight up, he has invested into himself. Jaden has invested, Daniels has invested into himself. So because he invested in himself, you don't see that too often. This man transferred to come to LSU with not even knowing what he was going to be. He invested in himself. He believed in himself. And Brian Kelly said, I have no other option but to respect that and know that he can be the man too. So if he invested in himself, I'm investing in him.
Exactly. And it went from Brian Kelly yelling at Jaden Daniels, because having nervous at first, and I'm like, you know what? That's the kind of fire we need, maybe. I feel like, I want Dennis Allen on the sideline yelling at Jameis. I want Dennis Allen. I want him on the sideline. If Andy Dalton throws a throw, I want him to grab him on a goddamn face mask, pull him in and say, Andy, get your shit together. You know what a check down is. It's starting 18. Why are you throwing it for 3 yards? Get on the sideline before I go out here in the dome and find somebody who wants to put on a helmet, grab the football, take a snap, and you know what I mean, and move those chains. If you can't do it, I'll find somebody who will. Maybe we need more of that in the Superdome, bro. And I loved it. I love it. If anybody who's played sports understands that type of energy and why that's important, to be able to just call your guy out, because guess what? He called him out whenever he made mistakes, but then it made it so much more sweeter to see them hug after the win over Alabama. It made it so much sweeter to see him come up and say, you know what, Jaden, you want to go for this? Jaden says, yes, absolutely, coach. And Brian says, it might be 4th and 2. This could cost us the game if you don't convert, but I trust you. I trust this offensive line that's made up of freshmen and sophomores. I trust you. You want to live and die by this decision? I'm going to be there for you, with you, behind you, fighting for you for every yard, every call, every decision that's left out of our hands. I'm going to do what it takes to put the ball in your hand, give you the best chance to win. But Jaden, I trust you to take us to the promised land because nobody else can.
Exactly.
And for Brian Kelly to be able to just loan that trust in his first year as a coach in the SEC, a quarterback coming off a transfer portal, to have that trust, a young O-line, it's amazing. And I tell you what, that's why I'm so pumped about LSU. Whether we win or lose, I'm pumped, baby. Bring us to Atlanta, because look, we're going in first year. Brian Kelly first year, going into it, we have nothing to lose, and there's nothing scarier than some LSU Tigers who have absolutely nothing to lose.
Straight up. I mean, what can you lose? You can't lose respect because you went out there and fought for your life.
Exactly. He can go out there. He can get blown out by Georgia. He can get blown out by Georgia. Brian Kelly would walk back. He'd take the bus. He'd head back into Death Valley to a standing ovation. He could lose 48-3. He'd walk back into Death Valley with a standing ovation for the type of performance he put out this season. Same with Jaden Daniels. That's what's amazing.
That is absolutely amazing. To know that man has thrown 15 touchdowns and 0 picks, it shows how much great
he threw 2 picks. He did throw 2 picks, but still though. He threw 2 picks, but still huge.
Yeah. He's only threw 2 picks.
Yep, and he leads the team in rushing yards as a quarterback with 740. 740 rushing yards, leads the team in passing and rushing.
Passion, is what makes everything.
Yeah. You go back and look at the Dallas Mavericks. Go look at basketball is probably, I think, I mean, everything's a team-oriented sport. I find basketball the most team-oriented sport because you won't see more teams who win the big one, more average teams, I guess, on paper, win the big one than NBA, right? Than basketball. The teamwork that goes into that, right? The chemistry that goes into that. And whenever you see it truly formulated into football, you could do that with football, but you have to have that just aggression, physical passion. And if you can match them together, it doesn't matter who on paper, you can pull up, like I said, anybody off the streets. If you have somebody who can match that type of energy and passion, who could execute when it matters most, I don't care who you are, Bryce Young. If you can't throw the football in overtime, then guess what, my guy? That's an L. It doesn't matter how hard you worked for it. That's an L on the record.
I just want to say this. Y'all better be I can't really curse too
We're
much.
keeping it PG-13
Y'all
over here.
better be ready because we are coming to Atlanta.
Yes, indeed. Ready or not, here we come. We're none to lose. I appreciate it, Joe. Anything else you want to head off on before I get you out of here?
Last thing. I watched the Tulane game last week. I think it was like on a Wednesday or something, bro.
Yeah,
or Thursday.
So yeah.
Tulane, dude. Them dudes are looking really good, by the way.
Yep. One of the best running backs in college football right now. One of the best running backs in college. Spears he's 4 yards shy of 1,000 rushing yards. I cannot think of the last time a Tulane running back had over 1,000 rushing yards. And my man Spears is already 4 yards shy of it. He's a real deal. Michael Pratt's pretty good too. What was his stats? I'm pull up. Michael Pratt's thrown 20 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, 996 rushing yards about Spears.
That dude was throwing dimes, dog. He was throwing the most beautiful passes that I've seen. He was throwing amazing.
Yep, and 317 rushing yards. So he's definitely a dual threat. Tulane is looking good, bro. Well, I appreciate it. Before I get you out of here, we about to transition real quick into a 2-minute conversation with the Saints versus the Niners. Let me get this from you. What is your score prediction this weekend?
It's gonna be 28-16.
Whose way?
Who that?
Baby, got who that, baby?
The chemistry has came.
What's that?
The chemistry has came.
Let's go then. Let's see what we can do, man. I appreciate you, Joe. You have a good night, man. If I don't see you tomorrow in here, I'm sure I will. But if I don't, happy Thanksgiving, brother.
All right, you too, bro.
All right, bro. Always love having the opportunity to bring you guys into the conversation. This wouldn't be any nowhere near as much fun if I couldn't get you guys in here for the convo. Thank you all so much, seriously. And before we head into the Saints, I do want to highlight the stats because there's something special. I love Tulane. Look, I love what Maddie Hudak's over there. She's a good friend of mine, and she's covering Tulane. And she said at the beginning of this season, she said there's something special about this Tulane team. She said there is something special about this kid Spears, this running back. There is something special about this Tulane team. She called it on multiple sources, multiple platforms. Maddie called it, and she has been 100% right. Ranked 19 is where Tulane is. A truly competitive college football team that nobody thought in our lifetime we would see them be as good as they are. And I feel like they're only going to climb to greatness. I can't wait to see what kind of bowl game they're going to be in. They're going to be competitive. They're going to be fun to watch for years to come. Same with LSU. But I'm going to close out on this, because we haven't touched on the Saints yet, because I'm just so fired up about my number 5 ranked LSU Tigers and my number 19 ranked Tulane Wade, baby. So let me ask you. New Orleans Saints heading in as the underdogs against the San Francisco 49ers, and we'll touch on this. We live every single night right here on Facebook. It gets repurposed out to YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and beyond. But as we approach that game, we'll touch more on it. But I'm gonna speak on this one thing. If there's one thing that we have against the San Francisco 49ers, is this 100% a trap game in San Francisco. There's going to be plenty of Saints fans who are going to show up to that game. And I tell you what, if this defense can play, if we're able to find a way to get the run game working and keep the ball out of the offense's hands, the Saints have a chance. They do. This is a must-win for New Orleans. It is not a must-win for San Francisco. And that says a lot. I said it with LSU. I'll say it again with New Orleans. The number one thing that the Saints have going for them right now is just like LSU, is they really have nothing to lose. Sure, LSU is fighting for a spot for the whole thing, but if they don't get it, they're still going to be treated as royalty. A little bit darker side with the Saints. If they don't get it, then we're going to have a really rough season, and we'll be looking forward to next season. But I tell you what, a lot of the Saints fans have already checked out, so if we get a loss or a win, does it have a huge effect on the year? Yeah, because of how tough the division is. But the Saints, at the end of the day, have really nothing to lose except giving the Eagles a top 5, top 6, top 10 pick. If they can play scrappy, if they can play physical, this could be a huge upset in San Francisco. And we've seen crazier happen before. Andy Dalton coming off a very efficient game. Maybe Dennis Allen finally figured out how to formulate that offense to really match the energy of the defense. So on and so forth. We'll find out as we get closer. I appreciate you guys so much. Look, this is live every single night. We're live about 30 to 45 minutes every single night. And if you miss it here live on Facebook or YouTube, you can go watch the replay on YouTube. You can catch highlights here on Facebook and TikTok. And most importantly, you can catch the audio, the full replay of every nightly podcast the following day on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I'll be posting the links to those pages everywhere. Thank you for taking this journey with me. Thank you for being a part of this new chapter and this on this page, this community. To the top we go. And we're going to keep bringing people in here. Thank you all so much. Stay safe. Be kind to one another. Who dat? But I'm going to finish with this. Go Tigers, baby. Atlanta, we coming. Let's go. Y'all have a great night. Smack that like, but if you have not already, y'all have a beautiful evening.